here from Riverfront Federal Credit Union with the latest news and insights from the current.
Today we're here at the Animal Rescue League of Berks County with two very special people. Jen Breeden, the Marketing Director, and Ashley Mikulski, the Vice President in Development. We have some wonderful things we want to ask them. Ladies, tell us about this organization.
Okay.
How's that?
Well, we started in 1952. So we've been in 67 years have been a part of Berks County. We service nearly 5,000 animals a year at present. We are here as an adoption center, as a place for second chances, a safe haven for animals in the community, whether they're lost, homeless, displaced, unwanted, as is sometimes the case. We're here for our community to make sure that, people have a place for, a safe place for their animals.
We have a beautiful facility. What a lot of people don't realize is we sit on 10 acres, which is much larger than you might think from 724. And we service all manner of animals, cats and dogs, but also farm animals too. We recently adopted out a horse that we had for 3 years. We were so thankful to find him a home.
3 years.
So it's not just cats
You
and
guys
dogs.
are probably sad when they went, right?
Bittersweet.
Yeah,
Yes,
exactly.
everything's bittersweet.
Okay.
Everything is bittersweet. Yeah. But we are always very happy when our animals find placement.
Mm-hmm. I'm assuming there's some financial obligation to run a place this big and this important. Tell us about that.
That would be
Well,
a
there
great
sure
one
is.
for Ashley.
So our organization is funded entirely by donations. We are not government funded in any way. So a significant amount of the money that comes into our organization that we use to run the shelter is funded by people within our community. And we are always looking for people who want to support our mission. So anything from caring for the animals, running the facility, helping our staff come here every day, working outside. There are ways to put your donation to work in so many different ways,
Gotcha.
in so many ways that you can help. So we are always looking for people that are committed to our mission and want to support us.
Gotcha. Mentioned today, there's a couple poodles that
Yes.
came up.
Just a
Tell us about that, because this is a very interesting thing that when you come to a shelter, you don't quite know what to expect. What kind of animal, if you're looking for a dog, what kind of dog are you expecting? So go through that process, because that was neat. You're saying poodles, and I'm like, well, big deal. You get poodles, and tell us about this, because that's
It is unusual.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is unusual. So we had a case where there was a family in Reading who had 5 poodles, and sometimes vets recommend that for larger dogs that they should get neutered a little bit later in life. Unfortunately, they waited a little bit too long.
Okay.
So with 5 dogs, they wound up with 18.
It happens.
So spay and neuter your pets. But anyway, in this particular situation, they obviously were in over their heads. So they reached out to us, as well as they did find they found homes on their own for 9 of the poodles. We took 9 of them, and we placed 4 of them with rescue partners who are specialized dog specific
Gotcha.
types of shelter. They're not typically shelters, they're foster based rescues.
Gotcha.
And then we have 5 of them. So we have 5 that are going up on the adoption floor today. This is an unusual day. We typically do not see too many poodles. We get occasionally a small poodle in here and there as an owner surrender typically. Owner might have passed away and somebody couldn't care for it. So they bring the animal to the shelter for us to rehome.
And correct me if I'm wrong, these poodles went up last night on your website, and how many people did you have out front
We had a
filling out
crowd this
paperwork?
morning. There was no parking at our facility this
Okay,
morning.
that tells you that there's a need that people want to adopt, which is awesome.
Yes.
But specifically, you guys are doing something right to get that information out.
Jen is doing something right.
So tell us about that infrastructure. Because we came in here and you have a lot of volunteers. You have a lot of people that are keeping this machine running. So tell us about this. This is fascinating.
We're very lucky in that we have a large following on our social media. We have more than 50,000 followers on social media.
And that's just you guys.
Yeah.
That put that in perspective. That's crazy.
and
That's fantastic.
It is, and I mean, I'm glad that every day it grows.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of people who are very enthusiastic in the ways in which they help. They might not be able to help us with donor dollars. They might not be able to help us with volunteer hours, but they're able to help us by sharing, you know, who's available at the shelter. So we have a lot of people who are keyboard warriors for
Gotcha.
us, and share that information.
Gotcha.
So typically, you know, a day like this, we just have to get the information out. The rest happens.
Okay. We were here a couple days ago, and there was a lot less cats in here. So walk us through on any given day, because you come in one day, by the end of that day, you may or may not have a totally different group of guys getting ready to go to their new home.
Well, this is an anomaly.
Okay.
so,
Okay.
so typically this place is packed with
Okay.
cats.
Gotcha.
But because it's right now, we're getting out right on the tail end of winter. This is typically a slower season for shelters in the Northeast.
Okay.
The cold, unfortunately, does take its toll on animals who are born in the wild. Mating season is just starting to ramp up.
Okay.
And that sort of thing. So we're not seeing nearly as much, you know, a lot of animals during this time of the year, if a cat gets outside, it usually tries to keep warm, so they're not as visible. When it starts getting warmer, they do start to move, they start to look for food and that sort of thing. So they become more visible, and then people bring them in.
Okay.
So, you know, this is definitely an anomaly.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Typically these cages are completely packed.
Okay.
So we are always in need of adopters. And subsequently we're always in need of money too,
Sure.
because we need a lot of money to take care of these animals. Typically, this is not a turnkey business in any sense. Animals typically are with us for about 15 to, I would say 2 to 4 weeks.
Okay. That much depends.
Yeah.
Okay.
Many of them come in, they aren't fixed.
Okay.
We need to get them spayed and neutered. We need to get them vaccinated. Sometimes animals need a little bit of time just to chill out, and so that we can see what their personality is like.
Right.
And then they go out on the floor.
Gotcha. And that all takes money. And that
It does.
Even with, I'm assuming, even with volunteers from the docks down to, you know, the people that are helping clean, there still needs to be there's still a financial obligation that's taking place. So
Absolutely. Every animal has a certain amount of dollars behind
Sure.
them that have gotten them to the point in which they're adopted.
sure.
So, you know, the animals that you see in here are up for adoption, but we do have other animals that are waiting to come out up for adoption because they're waiting for their medical exam, they're waiting for their spay and neuter, they're waiting for a behavior exam.
Okay.
So you're right. You do see a flow through our adoption center, but so much of that is wrapped up in the resources that we put into those animals before the public even sees them at all.
Gotcha. With your organization, when you're overrun with viable pets that there's no major issues, they're just you just happen to be in a lot of people needing to surrender their pets. What do you do about when you don't have any more room?
We turn to fosters at that point.
Okay.
We typically try to reserve our fosters for very specialized cases, kittens who aren't available. They're still too young, they're still too medically fragile to actually go into homes.
Okay.
We try to reserve our fosters for medical cases, some behavioral cases. We sometimes have very specialized fosters who are so great and do such good work for us.
Mm-hmm.
But if we do get to that point where we are out of space, we turn to foster families, and we'll put a plea out on Facebook, and we'll be like, hey, we've got like 20 cats that need someplace to go tonight. A lot of our staff absorb that.
I gotcha. Yeah.
But you know, we turn to our community all the time for help for this. A lot of times it's just, hey, can you help us out for a week?
Sure.
And part of that is, so when we have an influx of animals, we're running out of space, we do sponsored adoptions. So if somebody really wants to help our organization at a time that we are packed with animals, sponsoring adoption fees is the best way to do it.
Gotcha.
Because we're able to move animals out very quickly and get into homes without the financial burden of an adopter having the adoption fee on top of everything.
And can anyone do that?
Anyone can do that.
So
Any
you don't need
business
to
can
be
do
an
that.
organization. You can just come in and say,
You can be a generous donor. Absolutely. So if you want to.
I would potentially take home a kitty or two, but
Well, you're in the
I
right
don't think,
room.
I, don't
Please feel
think I would probably be having to come back and live here because I don't think
I'm sure we have plenty of space for you.
We're good enablers.
Exactly.
We are.
But thank you, ladies, so much. This is great. We often meet with Berks County organizations where Riverfront focuses on Berks County. There are people where they're people, and seeing you guys, seeing what you're doing, please keep up the good work, because you guys are doing fantastic things. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. We are excited that we're not just a community service for people.
No, absolutely, and you can see that.
Yeah.
You can see that.
Anyone can be benefited from our organization. You don't just have to love cats and dogs.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thanks, Tony. That's all for now. Remember, if you want to make your life easier, keep following the current. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
This is our front lobby. We have several front desk customer service representatives that are out here that meet with all of our, they help triage people who come in. Okay. And then they meet with an adoption counselor if they're interested in adopting an animal. Okay. And the wonderful thing about adoption counseling is it's not like buying an animal. You're going to go through a really multi-step, multifaceted approach with the adoption counselor to make sure that the animal's a great fit for your family.
Okay. It's more of like a dating profile, kind of. I'm trying to find the right match for you and your lifestyle.
Okay.
Yeah, we say we're great matchmakers.
Yeah.
Do you do visitations out the homes, or is it more of a?
We retain the right to do that, but it's not something that we don't do it before an adoption.
Gotcha.
We follow up with several phone calls. We actually feel that our adoptions are much more successful when you've worked with people after the adoption. Okay. So we follow up with several different timed phone calls where the adoption counselors then follow back up with the adopter, make sure that the animal's working out well, find out if there's any problems. It's a great time to make sure if there is any problems that they're continuing to counsel them.
Okay.
And realistically, 5,000 animals a year, it would be impossible to do home visits for every single one of them. That's why the follow-up afterwards is so important, to keep them in their new home and work through issues that we can counsel them on.
I gotcha. I'm seeing these paintings. What's going on with these paintings?
So a local artist has graciously allowed us to use her art all over the shelter. You'll see different areas in which she's actually painted murals on the wall. Nettie Price is an artist, and this is her style. It's very unique. It's very happy. It provides the right atmosphere for our organization. So we're very, very lucky to have her. As
people can buy these?
Yes.
Okay.
And she donates a portion back to us, which is great.
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah, we really incorporated her into our brand, which is fantastic.
Okay, awesome. All right, let's see.
Let's go see the rest. All right.
You obviously saw all the cats up front that are available for adoption. Before the cats are available for adoption, they are back here in our cat room. So we're going to take you through there. This actually used to be where we would, if you were in the building prior to 2016, I would say, this is where you would come to adopt.
This is
but
the
then
colony.
These are the colonies and the catios and stuff. However, we moved everybody out to the front because it's much easier for people to meet with them out there.
Okay.
And this, the catios really provide a nice space for the cats to sort of
calm down.
Yeah.
Okay.
So all of our cages and our kennels are cleaned every single day to ensure everything is sanitary, but all these animals in here are kind of waiting for the next step in their journey through our organization.
Gotcha.
They have wonderful space out here. These actually open up to the outside, so they have catios. And
that's awesome.
They're able to choose when they want to go out there. During the summer, it's nice to come in here and just feel the summer breeze and everything. Everything's just sort of open. And these cats have you can see that there's a lot of areas for them to climb because cats love that.
Uh-huh.
So while it may be loud, we'll take you to our dog section next. Hi, baby. Hi. You want a treat? Good girl. Hi, baby. What about you?
We try to do everything. We do a lot of in-kennel enrichment, so we try to do things that are going to make their time here more enjoyable.
Okay.
But in addition to that, anything we can do to make their time relaxing here, we try to do.
All right, kennel 2, here we come. Oop, here.
And it's nice separating them because sometimes the smaller dogs are a little bit more intimidated by the bigger dogs. So they're always a little bit happier when similar sized dogs are around them. It makes their time, again, you know, we're always trying to do what we can so that it's not as stressful.
I gotcha.
So like I said, a shelter isn't always the best environment to present an animal's behavior. So in this situation, this dog is much better when you take them out of their kennel, which is what that sign on the front means. But again, this is a cry for attention. So once you get them out, it's much different.
Okay.
So we're going to take you around to the back part of the building and we're going to show you our admissions. So this is our admissions building. This is a great place, a great opportunity for people to drop off their pets. They speak directly with the counselor. It gives them an opportunity to really discuss, if they found it as a stray, obviously they're not going to know very much about it, but if they're surrendering a pet, this gives them an opportunity to speak with the counselor, do a full intake interview, and it allows us to then rehome the pet in the best way we can.
Understood.
So if we have a dog, for example, that we know was not getting along with children, we'll know not to place that pet in a home with children.
Okay. And then you are telling me that there's two separate spaces based on what you need to do with your pet. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so in the past, we used to have everybody come in through the front doors. So we had people that were walking out with a brand new pet, and we had other people that were walking in with a pet that they were deciding to surrender for whatever reason.
Gotcha.
And it was kind of like having a wedding and funeral in the same room. So this really kind of gives, you know, our people that are leaving, they're happy, they're so excited to go home with their new pet, and our people who might be having some difficulty, and that's why they're here today to drop off a pet, this is giving them an opportunity to have that private moment. If they need, we have even really nice counselors that work back here. There's tissues, you know, there's private offices and everything, and sometimes we do euthanasias back here.
Okay.
So if people are looking to euthanize their pet due to health reasons or even behavioral reasons, it gives them a nice private entrance.
Okay.
We, like I said, we have 10 acres in our facility. So behind us here, we have dog parks in which if you are a volunteer or a potential adopter and you want to see the animal outside of their kennel, you can come out here in a peaceful environment, allow them to run around off leash in a controlled environment, and really just have the animal experience nature and get a real feel for their personality, because you can't always ascertain that when they're in their kennel trying to get your attention.
Sure. And this was done, these beautiful grounds, the trees and the gazebo and the fencing, that was donations?
Yeah, so way back in our history, Mary Archer, which is our foundress essentially, gave us 10 acres of her property in order for us to build this shelter. Mm-hmm. So we've been so fortunate to have had that for all this time. Sure. And then different parts of our 10 acres have been donated by generous supporters, like the dog park and the barn, which we'll go to next. Like I said, we're not just cats and dogs. We do all manner of animals. So we have a barn facility set up so we can handle them. So you can go check it out if you want to.
Absolutely, I'd love to.
The barn is really exciting. The barn was, the barn's been through a couple of different inceptions, but one of the key ways for us to deal with cats who are kind of this sort of in-between phase between being house pets and not feral, was to try to get them something to do, someplace that was an appropriate placement. And one of those ways is as a working or a barn cat.
Okay.
So these cats are used for rodent control.
Okay.
100% natural rodent control. So they're organic cats.
Win-win. Yeah. Organic cats. They're not vegan though, correct?
As far as I know,
They're not vegan.
They're actually quite the opposite.
But it allows us to give them an environment that we can adopt out those animals that largely we wouldn't have been able to in years prior.
Sure.
And then the other part of the barn, as you can see, our pastures here can be for our farm animals.
Gotcha.
We did have a big
what happened
big
there?
storm 2 nights ago in which one of our trees fell down and damaged our fence. So our incredible maintenance man Beaver is helping us fix that right now, but we are always looking for more support like this.
Use some
yes,
funding
we could use some
that's
funding
okay.
to fix this, because if we got a horse tomorrow, we would be in a bit of trouble.
Check out that website
please
that we're
do.
putting up right now. We need your help.
We need help to fix this. And again, things like that happen all the time here, so that's what your donations go towards. It's not only our animals, but helping us maintain the facility that cares for them.
Gotcha.
We'll take you back so you can see what the barn cat, they have a sweet setup.
It's pretty unique. We're counseling some other shelters on how to offer this program at their organization, because it's a great way to find places for cats, like I said, that normally wouldn't be able to find homes.
And you're also, what, maybe an eighth of a mile, sorry, maybe an eighth of a mile away from,
176 and
Yeah.
724. We're at the
Like-
junction. Yep.
like, and there's a nice barn here.
Yeah.
There's
How
no
cool is
reason
that?
You can
can't
actually
come.
see
cool is
this.
that?
The reason this is
really?
so large is
Yes.
so you can see it from the highway.
cool.
Yes.
That's so cool.
I think a lot of people just thought that this was just here
Sure.
because it's pretty,
Sure.
but it is actually very functional.
Yeah, and we, like I said, we've run a lot of really interesting animals in here throughout the years. About 7 years ago, we had 55 pigs show up with a truck that broke down on the highway, and we were able to handle them because
Okay.
we have this facility here. So you just
Sure.
never know what's going to come.
Yeah.
on
And we
a
just
daily basis.
recently, well, we told you earlier, we adopted a horse that we had here for 3 years.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And he had a very nice life while he was
Okay.
here, but it's better that he's not living in a
Sure,
shelter. We're not
sure.
a sanctuary.
No.
Right. I mean,
So-
now that alone probably was a financial strain, right?
It was.
Horses are not cheap.
Right, right.
Yeah. So we're always looking for supporters that are willing to support any manner of different ways. So
Sure.
if you're a farm animal lover, this is an opportunity for you to direct your
Mm-hmm.
dollars. If you're a cat dog lover, you can direct your dollars towards that. We are always looking for general operating funds though,
Gotcha.
so that we can divert those funds as what's most needed today.
Here, we can take you in here. This is really such a neat program and really something that sets us apart from a lot of other shelters. You can head in. So these cats, like we said, are not quite feral, but they're also not quite friendly. So they're going to work really well living in people's barns, warehouses, garages as rodent control.
Okay.
How we doing?
And we give them, this is actually climate controlled.
I see. I feel that. Yeah.
So they do, it's
goes
not like
around
they're
that
out here baking in the summer sun, and they're also not freezing during the winter.
Okay.
This room in here is really neat because it's an open concept.
Oh, wow, look at this.
Yeah.
Look how cool this is. Oh my gosh.
Again, like we're now counseling other shelters on how to offer this program.
Yeah. Should have the break room out here.
There we go. It would be relaxing, that's for sure. Hi, baby.
Okay, the barn cats I know are certainly not this chill and cool. What are these guys? Why are they so happy?
Volunteers
What's going
and
on?
our
Okay.
staff.
Okay.
Like truly dedicated people that
Sure.
come here to help socialize them to a point where we can be like this.
And as you can see, most of them are ear tipped. Well, some of them actually haven't been ear tipped yet, but they will be ear tipped. This one over here was ear tipped.
I see that, and that lets people what?
Know that they were spayed or neutered.
Gotcha.
So in case they would, one of the things with the barn and the working program is we do work with our adopters so that they learn how to keep the animals in the barn.
Okay.
Because if you think about it, you can't just actually put the cat out there and just be like, stay.
Right.
Don't
So
leave.
would you do something like this setup, like contain them this 100% like that? Or
So what we do is we usually go through a counseling period where we teach them, they sort of stay contained.
Yeah.
And then you start giving them some roaming. And then you start giving them more roaming.
Or what? Like
Yep, exactly.
Like establishing
Just
a
to let them
home
know
base.
this is your new place.
Yeah, this is where your food is, this is where your
okay.
water is, this is where your litter box is.
I was going to say litter box. At some point, would you wean them off of the litter box, or would you always have a litter box in the barn?
Most cats typically want to use a litter box.
Okay.
So we usually suggest that they do have a litter box out there. But to be perfectly frank, some of our cats who, are not acceptable as an indoor pet, that have really significant litter box issues may wind up in the barn or working cat program, and we'll make sure that they go back into an indoor environment, like in a warehouse. And, they're going to be great for something like that.
I gotcha.
So rather than euthanize them, we're giving them an opportunity to have a second chance.
Sure.
Yeah, which we're so pleased to be able to do because we normally years ago would not have been able to offer that.
Sure. Sure.
So it's a great addition to our shelter, a great program.
And
it's neat.
these are pretty lucky cats.
Yeah. They're
The
not
setup's
wanting for
almost better than
anything.
our indoor cats.
Yeah, right?
And they're really well taken care of. We just are so pleased with, we have volunteers who are out here sometimes 20, 30 hours a week.
Gotcha.
Working with these cats. They know the cat's personality, so when people say that they're looking for a particular type of cat for their barn or for a warehouse or whatever, we can really make a great match.
Right. It's fantastic.
Yeah, I mean that's largely the gist of the shelter. Like I said, we have 10 acres, but we're not going to take on a hike today because we have a lot of those 10 acres is woods.
You guys had a turkey that was hanging out?
Swanson, yeah. So years ago, probably about 10 years ago, we had a very, very large turkey that lived here in the barn and kind of roamed the grounds at will, and he was sort of notorious around here for people that would come to visit because he would just sort of attack your feet when you came. We had one staff member who really he bonded with that was thankfully able to handle him on a regular basis. But yeah, he was sort of the staple mascot of the Animal Rescue League for years. You would see him in the parking lot. He would stop traffic. You couldn't park your car until he let you do that. We've had a lot of interesting stories like that over the years. We've had turkey vultures and outdoor cats, and yeah, you never really know who you're going to meet when you come here.
That's cool.
We had a pig last summer who we put a pool out for him, like a little kiddie pool, just for him to like kind of cool off. And he decided his favorite thing to do with that was to empty the pool, flip it over his back, and we called him Turtle Pig because he looked like a turtle.
Would he walk with it?
Oh yeah, it was hilarious. And he was here. He was probably here for about 3. His name was Albert Einswine, but he was here for about 3 months,
That's
and he
awesome.
was. Everybody loved Turtle Pig.
Yeah. Like I said, there's just a culture here with stories like that and our staff, and there's a heartbeat here that if you come, you'll experience it.
Just talking with you and just seeing the staff and volunteers, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're very fortunate.
So fortunate.
Ashley,
Thank you so much for
thank
coming.
you so much.
Absolutely.
Jen,
Thank
so
you.
much for giving us this opportunity.
Absolutely.
Please check Animal Rescue League out. You have to. Visit the website, stop out, and check them out. And donate. Yeah.
Donate.
Check them out. They're a fantastic organization. Thank you.
Thank you.